podcasts I have, though, usually like in the beginning, we talk for like at least 15 minutes.
Yeah.
By the time that we actually do the podcast, it's like it's already
chopping it up.
Oh, you gotta love it, man. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Welcome, guys, to the Ramble. It's been a long time, but now we're back here with the OG Sam, the man, the myth, the legend. Sam, what's going on, my man? Great to have you.
Yeah, it's great to be here. You know, great to be back. It's been a while.
It's part 2. People don't know that this was we had a podcast before.
Right.
And then we were supposed to release the episode, but then it kind of got technical issues.
We did the whole thing, and then it didn't save or whatever.
It didn't save. It didn't load. Something like that. Computers are annoying, man. You know how it is.
No, but we're here now.
I'm glad we got to do it again. So we're going to try to spice things up a bit, but we're talking about England first. So you back home? Are you in England?
I'm here.
Yeah.
Back in Leicester. Obviously had to come home for Christmas. What was I home for? 17 days. I think it was home for 17 days.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say every time I feel like every time I'm gonna say something, I'd be like, "What were we talking about last time?"
That's fine though. It'll probably be like that because it's the same topic. So
it's funny because when you come back home, compared to being here I was here for 4 months before I came home for Christmas. You come home and you sort of realize how small your world becomes on where you were before.
Yeah.
Like you think about growing up in New Jersey, like I went to Ireland like 5 years ago for tournament, but other than that, I was never really like in terms of playing the game. I would never experience anything outside of New Jersey, pretty much, or the area of New York or whatever.
Gotcha.
And you get used to where you're playing and the competition, the level of competition. Obviously, every team's different, but it's sort of same styles of play and similar. You see similarities, and then you go to England, and it's boom, it's completely different. Completely different. The level of competition, and I think the biggest thing is really it's the culture.
How so the culture though?
So football here, it's religion. It's the life. It's the lifestyle. There's some people that they work 9 to 5 jobs or whatever like that, and they come home and their football team is it's part of their life. It's like they live and die with their teams.
Well, I was watching a documentary, and it was it's a new one on Amazon. Diego Simeone's documentary. I don't know if you saw it.
Okay, I haven't seen it. No,
it's fantastic, by the way. Like I highly recommend it to everybody. I mean, Amazon is pretty much on point with their, football documentaries and following teams, following managers, following players. Minus that Neymar one, I didn't really like. That was on Netflix.
You didn't like that one? Okay.
I wasn't a big fan, to be honest with you. Although I'm not a big fan of Neymar, so we'll get into that later. I mean, people
that's just personal.
I'm just not a big fan of Neymar, so I guess that bias kind of went into the documentary, and I was like, I think the first. I kid you not, 15 minutes of the episode, I was like, I'm done. I don't want to watch this anymore. But Cholo's documentary was great. And so I was watching it, and there's little bits and parts of it. And I think in the Sunderland one, they had it where people in England, they would work their asses off, 9 to 5, like you said, go to a bar out of all things. Like after I work, I'm kind of drained. Like I'm not going to lie, like mentally, I'm kind of drained. I'll do a couple things here and there on the computer, check out some film of other teams that we're about to play. But other than that, I'm kind of shot. So they go to a bar, they pregame there, and then they're right off buying tickets and going to see the game. So it's crazy to me how much they love the game and, how much they sacrifice. They're working their butts off, and then they're like, all right, we may be tired, but we're trying to watch our team. So the culture is insane.
Yeah. And if you're not going to the game, you're watching it down in the pub with a million other people.
Yep.
Screaming your heads off. And even so Ayleston Park, which is the partnered with Fox Soccer Academy, which is where I'm at. They were in the FA Youth Cup. And they got pretty they're just compared to the other academies, they're like when you sort of gets, it's like the normal FA Cup. The farther you get into it, you get to like the Chelsea Academy, the Liverpool Academy, the bigger teams. But when you start off, but you start off with these like grassroots teams and stuff like that.
Oh, so like you're talking about like Middlesbrough teams and things like that, like
right,
your bottom level,
like,
third tier, second tier,
even
teams.
lower than that, like the non-league teams.
Really?
Like you saw West Ham. Yeah. You saw West Ham play a non-league team yesterday. They barely won. But Elston Park is like they kept winning these games, and eventually they played. We beat Lincoln City Academy in penalties. That was ridiculous. Our keeper saved 3 penalties in the penalty shootout.
You know, I'm not very good with penalties. On a completely sidebar, like I get really sick. Like, and I'm not talking more so coach. I don't really talk about my career, but for my coaching side, I get really like sick. Like I remember
it's the most unfair way to win a game.
It is, yeah, it is. I mean, I feel like there's only one way to decide it. Like otherwise, the game could go on forever. And obviously, fatigue plays a big part of it. Like you can't, have half after half after half after half. But I mean, again, you have to get the penalties at one point or another. But it's just nerve wracking. You know what I mean? Like you just, especially for I can only imagine. I've never taken a penalty in a game, so I can only imagine, the fear that you're expected to make this, and if you miss it, it's like dog's abuse for at least a month from everybody.
You know what's funny? Actually, before I tell that story, I'll just finish what I was saying. I was going to say we beat Lincoln City, and then we played Sheffield Wednesday. So, sort of getting up to the big – and there was 1,000 people there. 900,000 people. It was a giant crowd. Everyone's cheering, everyone's screaming their head off. It's the culture. You just don't have anything like back home. And kids are growing up like in the U.S. with basketball, baseball, football, American football, that is hockey, whatever. They're just growing up with soccer here. That's it. With football. That's all it is. What I was going to say was about the penalties. The last penalty I took when I was one of the last games I played for Liverpool last year. I'd never missed a penalty in a game ever. Not any futsal game, not training game, whatever. And never in a game.
Which game last penalty I took? You took a penalty for.
What's that?
I can't remember which game this was.
Oh, that I took a penalty. I took a penalty in one of our games. But I'm a penalty guy. That's my thing.
Yeah.
I like to be taking the penalties. I took free kicks. Put it about 20 feet over the bar.
It's cut out now. It clicked.
No, not when I was playing for you. Not when I was playing for you.
No, but you didn't sky. I don't think you skied a penalty for me.
No, not for you. The one I took one for you to score.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yeah, the tournament.
Yeah, in the tournament.
One of our few games that showcased what we actually could do. Man.
But other than it was the first time I missed one.
No.
And it was like I was out of it for a second. I had to check myself back into the game.
Yeah.
Because every time I take a penalty, I'm known to score. I just know.
You don't change your side, do you? Like once you go up, do you have it in your mind like the day before? Like, okay, this is where I'm going to go.
No, so I don't want to. I don't want to give it away trade secrets, but I go right every time, every single time.
Bear in mind, goalkeepers, just listening real close on that one, huh? So you always go right no matter what.
So I've been trying since I missed that one. I've been trying to go left. Like I'm training a lot more.
Yeah.
Just so that just in case.
Yeah.
I feel more comfortable going left side. I just feel more comfortable right side. Just a little bit of side foot, just shape it in there because I can see that right corner. That's sort of my thing because I'm standing on the left side on an angle.
Gotcha.
I can't really see exactly where that left corner is. I can see right where that right corner is.
Where the right corner is,
aim for that. So I never change my mindset because I think that's sort of the way you throw yourself off.
I agree, actually. And I think that's across all players. I think that's the same thing pretty much is that when you're good at penalties, they never change it. Like I remember I had this kid for the Bulldogs, freaking phenomenal, by the way. Like scary in terms of like with his penalties and his free kicks. My God. Like I almost knew that he was going to score. Like I could turn away and I'm like, all right, he's going to score. And we had this, which is kind of how we won the league, actually. There was a couple other games that kind of decided when we won the league. But there was one game I'll never forget it, against Kearney, guys that beat our asses in the semifinal of the President's Cup. But So it was a tight game, very close. You know, coach was changing things. I was changing things. And we're losing 2-1 at the end of it, like closing into like the 90th minute. It was like the 89th minute or whatever. And I'm looking, I'm pissed. I'm like, you know what? This might decide the league. Like we screwed up and we didn't win. And this was like mid-season. And I'm already thinking like, oh, this game could actually affect us in the league. Because we would have to probably win out most of our games to actually like compete. And so they get somebody was dribbling down the line, screws up the cross, and they get a goal kick. And Sam, I kid you not, so the goalie puts the ball down, right? And the kid, for whatever reason, their left back picks up the ball, and then he puts it in a different spot to go and kick it. And I'm looking, and I'm like, this can't be happening right now. I'm like, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, you know, everybody just saw that, right? And I was like, ref, I was screaming at this point. I'm like, ref, that's a freaking handball. Like the guy just picked it up. And the ref's like, you know what? He didn't even recognize it. The ref's like, you know what? Yeah, it is a handball. So he calls for a penalty. I kid you, like literally this was the end of the game. So I knew that like if he did not make this, we were screwed, completely screwed. And he goes up to take it. Calm, cool, collected, same spot as he always does, right side. Boom. Tied the game. I was celebrating like mad. And like even the coach was yelling at me. He was like, you just tied. I was like, I'm not even thinking about today. I'm thinking about 4 weeks, 5 weeks later. This time matters. Dude, I feel like young Jose Mourinho. I like pointed my finger up and stuff. I was like, wait, freaking what? So like, I mean, it was a nightmare though, because I was like, why would that kid pick the ball up? But I mean, every time he came up, he came up big with free kicks. He came up big with penalties. And I asked him, I was like, dude, do you get nervous? Do you change your side? He was like, coach, honestly, I picked the same side. I'm cool as can be. And I was like, wow. I was like, dude, it's crazy. And I spoke to other people, and that's the same exact thing they say. They're like, oh, I picked the same side, and I'm calm. Because he was like, I'm not afraid to miss. And I was like, oh, maybe that might be the key, if you're not afraid to miss.
I'm not even thinking, that's not even something that I've ever thought of. Like, I've never stepped into penalty being like, I don't care if I'm not scared of missing. Yeah. I'm just thinking,
you'll make it.
I know I'm making this.
Yeah.
And that's sort of that's why I never really got nervous, because I'm just confident in myself.
Yeah.
I think that's most thing. I think that's the most important thing is that's all it is. And I'm sort of going through this in the moment, I would say, because the transition from the level I was playing at to the level I'm playing at right now. I was playing at a high level before, but it's a different game. It's faster paced. It's more physical. You got to be. Yeah. It's much more tactical. You got to be on it 24/7, especially as a midfielder. When I got here, I was fine, and I sort of settled in a little bit, and yet sort of sensory overload. And as a midfielder, there's so many things I have to worry about and control. What's going on over here? What's going on over here? Where's the ball? Where's the guy that I'm supposed to be marking on defense? All this other, all this shit. This midfielder shit.
It's like midfielder problems, man.
Midfielder problems. Yeah. And you start worrying about all these different things, and you sort of lose a little bit of focus. And I know I definitely lost a little bit of confidence, especially because when I got here, I wasn't playing at the highest. So it's the Cat 1. We have two teams. We have Cat 1. We have Cat 2. Right now I'm playing Cat 2. I played in some Cat 1 games, but I've been used to literally walking into a team, try out, boom, I'm Cat 1.
Yeah.
I'm sort of running the team. I'm the midfielder. I'm controlling everything. And everyone knows that's what I'm doing. Here's completely different. I'm, first of all, an outsider coming in.
Which is a little bit different.
Right, which is a little bit different from, and I'm not taking away from I2I, but from Nate and Asa. They're all outsiders coming together. Which is a little bit different.
Man,
but it's a little bit different because they're all outsiders and they're all have that same mentality. And they're all coming together as a team, all from different places. And here, I'm not the only outside person coming in, but only American, I guess. I'm coming into a foreign team, foreign style, It's really the highest level that I've ever had to play at.
Yeah.
And I'm not playing at the highest level, and I now have to push myself more than I've ever been pushed before to get to that high level. And you don't want to make mistakes. And when you start trying not to make mistakes, that's when you make the most mistakes. That's when you lose confidence. Right. And that's when you lose your confidence. And I think more than anything else, you can work as hard as possible. But there's a reason baseball players get in a slump, even though there's a reason basketball players get in a slump. They put in more work than anyone else, but it's all here. That's why you're in a slump. You didn't. Francisco Lindor from the Mets, all-star shortstop, stank. There's a reason that he stank. It wasn't because he lost his skill. It's because he was trying too hard. I feel like it's all mental. It's all your confidence is. How are you seeing the ball come in at you? Are you confident that you're going to hit it? Are you not afraid to strike out? All those things. Applies to every sport.
It's crazy to me how the mind is, to be honest with you. I'm taking a lot of sidebar courses, not relating to soccer, but more so relating to like human anatomy and like, how muscles work,
psychology,
how the brain works, psychology. Yeah, correct. And it's interesting, man, like how players get into a block, because I want to be able to kind of guide players out of that, that like dark place where they get into them, they kind of like lose confidence, and they're, if a striker, usually like strikers have it a lot where, like, I can't finish this and that.
Right.
So it's tough, but I don't understand how somebody can be at the top of their game and then all of a sudden you think you're the worst player on the planet. It's just so weird how your mindset just goes from, I'm the best, I could do this, I could do that, to, oh, wow, I suck. And you just play badly for, a string of games. It's weird, and there's no explanation for it, to be honest with you. Like, I've read so many books. I've read, doctors have come out and said, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, but nobody has a definitive answer of what the hell goes on in somebody's mind. It's fascinating to me. It really is. Like, I had this kid on my my new 04 team. Phenomenal team, by the way. Really, really good so far. Young kid. I think he's an 05, 06, playing on an 04 team that plays against 03 sometimes. And it was a little bit to do with his coach. His old coach didn't really believe in him. Thought he was, young, scrawny, didn't play too well, wasn't great technically. And so, I just kind of motivated him, day in, day out, and just said, hey, look, you have a lot of promise. Just play, have fun. Don't worry about your old coach because you're not with him anymore. Don't worry about what everybody's saying because, that's all in your head. Just play the game and you'll be all right. And now he's doing like, we had an indoor game yesterday. I kid you not, he's like trying bicycle kicks now. Like he like out of nowhere. I was like, that's Jason, the kid. I was like, that's Jay. I was like, what? I was like, hey, this guy, he's trying to Rabonas, to cross in the ball. And usually, I am about tricks and stuff. But I was like, you know what? This kid needs it. He needs a little bit more of that arrogance, that cockiness to play. So I was so shocked how he could just transform. It took a while. It took a couple weeks, but now he's like, if I don't like play him too much, he's like, oh, coach, like he goes, like, yo, coach, why am I not getting this amount of minutes? Like this is different. I'm like, yo, this guy's got some balls now. Like he's getting a little bit more of a presence now on the field.
You know what's interesting about that is, for me, I've always felt the most confident. Well, one, when I have the ball, because I feel like when you have the ball, you're more checked in and you're getting touches. But when I'm and I tend to be the captain on my team, because I'm switched on the most when I'm talking, when I'm giving out instructions, when I'm yelling, when I'm screaming, when I'm talking a little bit of shit to the other team.
I know.
or in training to my teammates, which Nate knows pretty well.
Hulkman Nate, I love it.
Oh,
that's
Nate.
Another podcast for another day.
God bless you, Nate.
Love Nate when he gets into the Hulk. Man, it's great.
I feel the most checked in when I'm doing all that, and I found myself not doing that, and I also found myself being a little bit more timid, and I think that translates from how much you're involved in the game, meaning like how much you're on the ball, one,
Yeah.
Or are you talking to your teammates? Are you getting involved in the game? Or maybe like you're just making sure you're in the right position. Are you talking to your coach? What should I be doing? Should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? Getting to the right positions in the field, like all that little stuff, like that keeps you checked into the game.
Small details, man. Yeah.
Small details, right? And I found myself not doing that, which I've you sort of have to. There's a lot of things that people can do for you in terms of the game.
Yeah.
Coach can tell you where you can be on the field, what position you're playing, what he wants from you. But at the end of the day, you need to decide whether you do it or not.
I absolutely agree with that. Yeah.
Right. That's the only thing.
That's a big one because you can get all the instruct like like for this team, we were lucky that we had I did a couple of Zoom calls with you guys, and we were more together because we had a group chat. So any tactics that I needed or instruction, I would text you guys personally. This team is a little bit different in terms of I only see him a couple days a week, so it's tough to kind of get my instruction through. So I made this I posted on Snapchat like a couple days ago, but I made this game model for them, and for next practice when I see him, I'm going to hand him out a hard copy of it. But you can give instructions to players, and okay, this is where I want this is where I want you in this specific time or this specific zone. If the ball comes here, you can pass it here, here, and here. But it is true. It's whether the player believes it, number one, believes your system, believes in your tactics, believes in your sort of ideology of the game, and second, if they want to execute it. If they don't want to execute it, you're screwed. You're done. That's it. It doesn't matter how good of a team you have. You're done. PSG.
Not everyone. The thing is that people need to understand is not everyone has it in them either. You look at this to take an example. You look at the NBA, or I guess any league. All of these guys, NFL, whatever. All these guys are at the top of their game. The best players in the world. But you look at guys in the NBA, they're averaging 5 points a game, whatever. They're just playing their role.
Yep.
Like if you take them into a different situation, they would be the best player on the court. In every single game, they're just playing their role in the game. And a lot of people would think I have to be the superstar. I have to be the superstar. No, I think you have to focus on what you do best and just focus on that. You don't necessarily have to be doing all these other things like Messi does. Messi is the star player, everyone knows it. But when he's not scoring 50 goals a season, people are like, what are you doing? And then you got other guys who are scoring 2-3 goals, but N'Golo Kante. He's not a good goal scorer, but he's the best at what he does in the world.
It's perspective for a lot of people. It is perspective for a lot of people.
Yeah. Just stick. I'd say stick to find what you do best.
Yeah.
And make yourself indispensable in that.
What kind of feeds into my philosophy of some people get it, some people don't. But before every season, I always say that just play your note. And the instrument will play, man. That's it. You just play your freaking note. You don't have to play this note. You don't have to play that note. Like if you're a dribble, you stick to dribbling. If you do a million scissors and keep the ball, that's what you do best. If you can finish, that's fantastic. Like play to your strengths. And some people like to do other things that they're just not very good at. And I'm like, you don't have to do all this. You don't have to do all that. So that's not really your place. Again, it depends on the player you got in your hands. But some people like to think that they can do everything when they really can.
Fortunately, I guess fortunately or unfortunately for me, I really need to be the driving force on my team.
Yeah.
More than I feel like because I feel like I can, and that's what I've always done.
Yeah.
I feel like I need to be that guy because I've been that guy. And That's just my mindset, which is not, I guess, doesn't work for everyone. But what's been struggling? Well, I guess not struggling. What's been hard here is talking about playing in England. Is the fact that I came in and wasn't that guy right away. I haven't been that star player, that center of the team, that focus. And you come up against these other great players. and I started out starting and been on the bench for a few games. And I thought, when I started on the bench, like I've never been on the bench before. Like I was always, first guy, first name.
Always
yeah.
been, always been the first player.
Yeah, always the first player.
It's Cam. You got to put him in the field.
yeah, Cameron, number one.
My star playing career.
Right. Oh man. But at the beginning, I was like, what am I doing on the bench? Like, how did I end up here?
Yeah.
And he's like, I just get, you get more and more frustrated with yourself. And you start doubting, you ask questions. And then I sort of realized, like, okay, I'm on the bench. But how do I get back to where I feel like I am? So I know where I can be. That doesn't matter. Where are the coaches? What do the coaches think of my game? How they see me working hard? They see me pushing myself more than these other players that are starting, because I know I can get there. I know that I'm at, should deserve to be there. Again, it does not matter what I think. It's about what I'm showing.
Yeah.
Right. Because at the end of the day, they did not see me play for 10 plus years in the U.S. Scoring goals left and right, getting assists, winning all these games. They just see what's in front of them.
It's brutal because
right.
Every player has a history. Yeah.
Right. Because I know what I'm.
Yep.
But it's what you're doing at the moment, what you're doing right now. How are you performing in these games? And I sort of took coming off the bench as a challenge. Like okay, you're gonna bench me. I'm gonna show you why I'm gonna be a starter. And me and another one of our strikers, Elijah, who also has been coming off the bench. I think he's a really good player, but he got injured at the beginning of the season, hamstring injury.
It's tough.
So he's fine now. But we've been coming off the bench. When we had a game that we were down 2-1, we come in with 20 minutes left and turn the game on its head, win 3-2. One of the subs, Philip, scored the tying goal, and we want to change the game with that energy. You bring the energy on, because you can't come off the bench and sort of be just there, like you're just playing.
There's players like that though,
right?
Where they're on the bench and they're like, all right, you put me on the bench, now I'm not going to try.
Right.
And that can kill teams. That can kill teams, and it kills a culture as well. Like I try to make sure that everybody knows that even if you're on the bench, you play a part. Like I actually sometimes make my players on the bench now take notes and like make sure that they know what's going on before that they go into the game. Even with the instruction, they already have an idea of, okay, maybe the opposition center back steps up too much. There's spacing behind here. I can move here, pass it here to score eventually. So it's crazy how players just get so checked out and in their own kind of feelings, and they're like, if coach put me on the bench, like I'm not going to play anymore. It takes a specific mindset to kind of go into a game and give it your all. But even if it's for 5 minutes, even if it's for 30 seconds, if you make an impact on the game, that shows a lot from you as a player, which can ultimately get you into the starting 11. It won't guarantee it, but it most certainly will, leave something in the coach's mind saying, hey, look, this guy worked his ass off for 30 seconds. Like I might use him again.
Right. Like I know that I have the talent, and I know exactly what I'm capable of, but am I showing the willingness, and am I putting in the hard work and giving the team the energy, and giving the coaches the energy and showing willingness and being engaged, all those things that when you're trying to make your way up, you need, because you can't just rely on your talent, what you know, like you need to go that extra mile, I think. Yeah.
It takes a lot more than just talent, unfortunately.
Right.
Even at the best level, it takes a lot more than just talent, for sure. I have a really, really good striker at the moment. Could he be a lot better? Absolutely. And sometimes I don't know. Sometimes he's there, but he's not at that level where he could be, and I see that. So I try to be an asshole to him sometimes and just try to get him to be where I think he can be. And I think before the coach kind of just let his talent kind of ride it out, and that's a problem. You can't just let him think that he's the guy when in reality he could be so much more. And I'm glad you kind of realized that you got put into an uncomfortable position where you weren't that guy anymore. And then you're like, all right, I got to take a couple steps back, reevaluate myself mentally and also in my playing style, adjust to the new players, the new coach, the new system, the new culture. And I think you'll figure it out for sure. I think it's going to take a little more time. I think not even this. I don't even think this season, but I think maybe next season you'll kind of just feel that and kind of fit in a little bit more.
I mean, it's a constant process,
Yeah.
And I think the psychology side of sports is sort of the most interesting thing.
So interesting.
Because it's the one thing that you don't really have any answers for. Like no one has, I mean, a lot of people think different things. How this helps you, how having this certain mindset helps you. And people look at it from different ways. Like if you got guys like Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan that are just absolute killers. Like they go out every time trying to kill you, and they're going to make sure that they go right at you. They're going to work harder than everyone else. And then you got guys with different mindsets. It's all like it's crazy. There's not one specific way to do things. There's a million different ways, and honestly, a million different ways that work for everyone.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I wish I had a. Yeah, I wish I'm sure every coach is going to think the same thing I'm thinking, but I wish I had like some kind of like manual to like just get in my players' minds and just like see what's going on in there. But it's just not the case, which makes the job quite difficult to say the least. You gotta, I mean, for me, I kind of, for my coaching style at least, am I an asshole? Yes, but I also try to get my players to just somewhat kind of be on the same level as I am. So there's no dictatorship. It's I help you, you guys help me. Like if you guys weren't there, if you guys didn't give me results, I would be a shitty coach, and vice versa. Like I'd hope to think that whatever I gave you guys in either, if you're with me for a long time or a short amount of time, whatever, words that I gave you or tactics or, this or that I gave you guys would help you out long-term in your careers. So, it kind of works both ways. And with that, I find that players would freaking run through fire for me. And I would do the same thing for my own players. So that's worked for me for every team. I think that every team kind of responds to that treatment and psychology. And it really makes you guys work. Like I've been blessed with very, very good teams, and every single team that I've had where I implement that style of coaching, psychologically, we could be 4-0 down and players will not put their heads down. They'll want to continue to, okay, we can get 1, we can get 2, we can get 3. Even in the 90th minute, they're still like, oh, we might have a chance, which I think is brilliant. So it doesn't happen in, overnight, but eventually my teams usually do that, which is tremendous though.
I always thought, I always think that a coach can always only do so much. I think at the end of the day, the playing side of the game comes down to the players.
Yeah, it's all you guys. Perform. Yeah.
But I remember when we had that one tournament that we played. In the futsal when we played futsal too. Whenever we stepped onto the field, we knew that you gave us 100% effort, and to add to that, I mean, the amount of screaming and all that shit that you do, the amount of your animation, you're animated, and your energy that you bring. Every training session, every practice, every game, it really brings its way down to all the players, runs through the team, and really gave us. Our team chemistry. We were
phenomenal though.
We played what, 5 games?
5 games.
5 games. But that was a real family.
Yeah. Which is incredible how we got that culture down so quickly. I was like, what's going on? We've only been together for a couple months, and we're already acting like
the chemistry that we had.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the chemistry we had barely playing together. And I think it can it's translating to every team, every sports, like the chemistry. How do I put it? The way, how well you're getting along with your teammates. Are you, going like what we did? Like, are you going out to dinner, Chipotle or whatever it is? Are you going to do things with your team and bonding and stuff like that? All of that stuff comes down. It's all included.
For sure.
Right. It's all matters, and it's the little stuff. It's the team chemistry. It's how long are these your brothers? Are these your guys that you would ride or die for? Are these guys that when you step on the field, you trust them that they're going to give 100%?
It gives me memories for forever. I think that.
And again, we barely played.
Oh my God!
But we all knew.
Every time I talk about any one of my teams, I'm like, I tear up a little bit. I'm like, those are the moments, man, that I live for. It really is.
Yeah.
It's incredible how it is, but we got a minute left. But what a great episode. Guys, please follow us on Instagram. We're back at it again with regular episodes, hopefully. I will try to stay on top of it. Sam, always a pleasure, my man.
Always a pleasure.
Oh, yeah. Great episode. And time.